Bicentennial shitpost starts now. Hello. Alright, so for those wondering what's going on here, it obviously takes me like a million years to get a video out, regardless of what it is. So I'm kind of figuring I gotta figure out a way to get videos out a bit faster. And I mean, honestly, I can't really, change how slow I am to getting around to this shit, but I do want to try this video format of just like talking about some of the art shit I've been doing, because, I'm doing it anyway, and I can make a video on it pretty quick because it's just like time lapses and talking, so it can definitely be something good to like fill in the empty gaps while a bigger video's underway. But yeah, let's get into it. I mean, I think probably need a little more context. I think around the time I was finishing up editing the video, the last one, it got very dragged out because I was doing a bunch of other stuff that was taking up a lot of my time. And even after I, got the video out and had a bit of extra time, I didn't really feel like working on the drive-thru game that much after, what I showcased. So I thought maybe something I could do that, I have to, that's also probably easier to do in little bits, is getting back on the art grind a bit. Especially because as far as the game's concerned, I kind of don't really know what I want the art to look like yet. Don't know how to approach it all that much, so I thought maybe exploring the options could be a good idea. More specifically, I wanted to really get into like rendering and coloring and shit, because I feel like that's very much a weak point for me. Like, a lot of the stuff that I've made prior to now, like, it doesn't look bad, but I really dislike it because I know that I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of like doing stuff and praying. Like, it doesn't feel very good to have a lot of uncertainty, I guess, when you're making stuff. Like, just kind of going into a drawing and really having no clue whether it can come out good or not is just like flip of a coin kind of thing. And I think I felt that way the most about rendering, because I really just, just like winging it. And so despite saying that, I kind of still avoided rendering anyway somehow. I found this guy on Twitter called Hike Guy, who the way he colors and renders is like really interesting, because it's like kind of cel shady-ish, because it's not really like rendered. Like, there's, very distinct like flat colors, but at the same time it's like still detailed enough to the point that it doesn't even feel like cel shade. It's like a weird in the middle, but it looks really, really good. And I was like, damn, that is cool. I wish I could do that. The only problem is, like, I really, even just by looking at the drawings he's posted, I just had no idea how to go about that. But I still was like a little scared of trying to learn how to do like actual rendering, so I figured I'd just like go down the cel shading route for a little bit. And so I started drawing. Actually, before we get any further, this drawing is technically JoJo's Part 7 spoilers. I mean, okay, the character on their own is like not really spoilers, let's be honest. But if you're like, really big into not spoiling shit for yourself, I guess skip a chunk. Maybe I'll like put in a timestamp or something, I don't know. Anyway, we're drawing D4C. I actually really fuck with the pose that I found for this somewhere on the internet. But everything else after the fact, like, not really. Like, the drawing itself was cool, but line art felt very tedious. Every single part felt extremely, unbelievably tedious, was what I was getting out of this. Could have been a bit because of the character I chose, having all those like little frilly bits, but for like not having a lot going on in the rendering department, it took like forever to actually put this together. And it just didn't feel like there was a lot of room to like make it really interesting, I guess. Yeah, no, bottom line was, as much as rendering scary, Hike Guy style cool, what I was doing here was not that. And at this point, because I just felt like I couldn't really get a lot more out of the route I was taking, I figured I maybe should switch over to doing a bit of like rendering investigative journalism, I guess. First order of business was, once again, trying to figure out how the fuck to draw by just watching other people. So I watched a couple Blue Biscuit streams trying to like follow along, especially in like how they were rendering stuff. I did find they still were very much kind of like painting with like pretty flat colors, with just like, a little bit of smoothing stuff out here and there, but it was like still mostly kind of like flat colors, pops of color. And then the other person I was looking at was on YouTube, they're Idero Art. They just draw Kobani and shit. That's all they do. But they got a couple of videos where they kind of really walk through their process, and it's very different. It's like, it looks pretty realistic, but they're able to accomplish that through like a very messy process for the most part, which I really like the sound of. And it just like, I mean, just watch their most recent video, because I mean, it looks beautiful, and I mean, how they go about it is like really interesting to watch, just because it's kind of crazy how clean it ends up coming out. But yeah, after looking at both of these, I still kind of didn't really know which bits of each artist kind of process I actually liked or wanted to try using. So I figured there's no other way to really know for sure without finding out. So I started another drawing. This one's my goat, Alphonse. We're on a first name basis. I started off, I thought it was really interesting. Blue Biscuit starts the sketch with like a thick airbrush and then like progressively gets thinner and like keeps erasing stuff. So I wanted to try that. And I did kind of like having a thick airbrush at first, just to kind of like block shit out and have it feel a little bit more messy, but I didn't really like having every step of the sketch and liner kind of be on the same layer, because a lot of that erasing felt very tedious. It also just felt kind of muddy. I don't know, I didn't really like that part that much. Actually, the main reason it sucked was because anytime I wanted to move anything, like if I try to use like lasso tool to like move shit around, it was very noticeable because, you know, the entire thing was like made up of airbrush. I did kind of like, after doing all that, realized the existence of the liquify tool. That's kind of on me, to be honest. But even still, I don't know. As far as how coloring went, I don't really know how to render metal, so I kind of just like threw some shit on there. I really tried to, I mean, both artists for the most part had a similar philosophy. I mean, it's probably the same for most people, of really starting really big when it comes to doing like shadows and shapes and stuff. I feel like sometimes when I draw, I definitely like, maybe I'll try starting big as far as doing like shadows and different colors and stuff, and then I'll, you know, just like out of habit or whatever, kind of zoom in a little bit and work on like one specific part while the rest of it has been kind of neglected. So I really just tried to have like everything be as kind of zoomed out and messy as possible, and just slowly but surely work everything further and further in, get more detail, but like have everything get more detail at once. Which I definitely liked. I thought that was good. There were definitely different ways to start off with the initial shadows. For this one, I just kind of blocked in shit, which might have been smarter to have like a fill multiply layer and then just like erase from it. And then it was kind of just a matter of, you know, once again, getting smaller and smaller and just kind of going over everything until it's getting smoother. At some point, I give up on using the layers all that properly, just like toss one on top and just start drawing over everything. I think I definitely could have spent, you know, another million years slowly getting things more and more detailed, but I think at some point the amount of return from adding finer and finer details gets weaker than my overall laziness, and then that's when I stop. And then finally, I mean, I've been doing this for ages, just at the end of everything, slapping on a quick color balance filter, just fixes everything color-wise. If you go too hard on it, it can probably end up being a little much. I think I might have done a little too much on the D4C one, honestly, but like for this one, for example, I had, you know, very like normal colors before, but I think this one was nice because it definitely made it look better and also kind of mixed it up a little bit. Definitely a lot more like purple in the shadows, and like when I think I just like it a lot more. Oh, also, I think I forgot to mention, but adding the highlights at the very end, just everywhere, it really did help. So, I mean, yeah, I think that's it for this one. I'm a big fan of how this one turned out, and I think it was also very useful for helping me figure out which bits from the artists that I was kind of studying I actually liked, and, you know, which I wanted to drop or maybe try differently. And so after this one, I did one more drawing. Just for a little context, I've been playing the shit out of Demon Bluff, playtest on Steam. Very fun, would recommend, and it's free right now, because, you know, playtest. And the game's got a lot of cool characters, so I thought I'd try doing one of them. I ended up going with the Fortune Teller. Definitely had mixed feelings while making this one. Started out really good. Decided to do something new and learn from my mistakes, and I ended up separating my initial airbrushy layer and then my actual line art, and I actually did the line art with like my more solid brush that I, by the way, stole from Blue Biscuits. Thank you. But yeah, I was actually really happy with the line art for this. I think part of the problem with making line art that you're happy with is that then you get a little worried that you're going to completely fuck it up with the colors, which for a while I definitely felt like that was exactly what I was doing. I ended up doing what I wanted to do last time when it came to the base level shading. Just filled a multiply layer and then erased. And it looked pretty good. And then after I started adding a couple more like flat colors, like deeper shadows and stuff. And I mean, at this point I was getting a little worried because I thought some parts, like especially the shirt, just felt very like, you know, it's kind of like rings of color, just looked a little silly. Oh yeah, and the fuck-ass crystal ball. I had no idea how to do this. I went onto like Google and I was like, you know, crystal ball, like watery ball kind of thing to try and see if I could learn the mysteries of how to make something like that looked good, and I really could not get much out of it, so I quite literally just kept putting down random ass blobs of color, just hoping that it would eventually end up looking good. And it was looking okay, and then doing a bit of rendering, adding a little like opaque bits kind of everywhere, sold it, and it actually did end up looking pretty good. I was happy with it. Moved on to blending out the rest of the stuff. Was trying to mostly still keep things kind of flat, not rendering like crazy, but some bits I just like could not get to look right. Mainly the shirt. I just like, no matter what I was doing, it was looking kind of ass. So I think I ended up like going over it with the airbrush a little bit, which ended up being a very bad idea. But to be honest, I think the part where I really felt like I lost the plot was when I started doing the hair, because to this day I still don't know how to do anything hair related. That was definitely one of the things that when I was doing the line, I was like, this is a miracle that it looks remotely decent. But I also just thought that the rendering was looking really bad for this. But then somehow, you know, adding that little highlight just kind of everywhere in the middle kind of just magically fixed it. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, from there it was just like a lot of cleaning up until I felt satisfied. I mean, for a while, I'm doing it in a layer below the liner, just kind of on top of everything else. And then at some point, I was also starting to do stuff on a layer above the liner to kind of thin out some of the lines. Mainly just because I think I might have gone a bit thick with the line art for a chunk of the things in this. Main issue is though, like if a lot of your line art's like kind of thick and messy, then you know the bits that are thinner start to stand out like a lot. But yeah, I had to work at that a bit to find a bit of a balance, I guess. I don't know. As per usual, the color balance feature just kind of, once again, absolutely carried the fuck out of this drawing. And I also decided to put in the background that the fortune teller actually has in the game behind it, just because I thought, you know, works better that way. And also just the one I had was like the same thing but worse. And finally, like I mentioned, I kind of realized after the fact that the airbrush bits on the shirt really stand the fuck out compared to everything else, and they just look really bad. So I had to go in there and just kind of go over it a little bit until it wasn't as prominent. But yeah, this one also kind of against all odds also turned out pretty decent. I don't know. As one final note, another reason that I tossed on the Demon Bluff background was because I ended up putting this in as a skin because I thought it'd be funny. It obviously doesn't really work that well because, I mean, the picture's not really intended to be at such a small size, I guess. But I still thought it was cool. I didn't ignore all the other shit. But yeah, that's about it. In summary, I definitely feel like I learned a lot, but also I'm kind of still falling into a lot of the same pitfalls and doing a lot of the same shit that I was doing before. But I'm probably still marginally better overall than a couple months ago, so I can't complain. And I really did feel like the biggest thing that's gonna contribute to me getting any better isn't as much finding someone who's got like a cool technique, but mainly just like churning out a shit ton of drawings and just seeing what works. Like, I think at the end of the day, that's all it is. Next video, hopefully one day, probably won't be the drive-through game, because I'm lazy. Yeah, probably won't be for a bit, but definitely want to try and make a bit more of an effort to get out, you know, shitposty videos like these that are shorter, just to like fill the dead air. But yeah, that's all from me. Get the fuck out of here.